Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stardom Cast. This is a podcast where we talk all things about the fantastic professional wrestling company that is Stardom, and we do it in a positive and what I like to think fun manner. I'm your host of this episode. My name is Matt Turner. Fortunately, we would not be joined by Rob Goodwin, but that's a-okay, folks. We're going to be flying this plane solo, so I hope you're all ready for some fun. And you're going to come with me on this journey. We're going to talk all things about the fantastic professional wrestling company, again, that is Stardom. And folks, we have a loaded show for you today. We are going to be reviewing not one, not two, but three shows. We're reviewing the pay-per-view Midsummer Fest from this past weekend, as well as New Blood 10, and of course, that fantastic, loaded, historical Korakuen Hall show from this past weekend as well that featured a handful of 5-star matches. Also, too, we'll be talking about, we got some news. We'll also be previewing some of the upcoming 5-star matches that'll be happening this week, as well as we'll be talking about what's going on the Patreon. We'll be talking about some news. That's usually where we start. If you're new to the podcast, hello, welcome. We usually start off with talking about what's up on the Patreon. We usually talk about some news, but we're going to change it up just a little bit here, folks, because obviously something big happened in my world and your world as well, because I saw a lot of you this past week and this past Sunday at the 2300 Arena, which I'll probably never ever call that again. To me, it's the ECW Arena. It's on the corner of Swanson and Rittner Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yes, we got to see the U.S. debut of the former World of Stardom champion, the winner of the 5-star last year, and the current New Japan Strong champion, the Dangerous Queen herself, Julia. And I was there for it. I was there watching it. We'll do a little review here, but it was nice. It was fantastic. It was very humble to meet so many of you, so many listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast. So many people knew who I was when I walked in, took pictures, asked me a whole bunch of questions. Everybody said so many nice things about myself and Rob, about the show. Really means so much to us. Like I say at the end of the show, it really gives the fuel to the fire for us to constantly do better on these shows. So many people said one of the main things that they got into the show is they heard us on Talk is Jericho, and then they started listening to the Stardom Cast podcast, this podcast, and then they started watching Stardom. So there was probably about half a dozen of our listeners that said they never really watched Stardom before, only saw some of it on YouTube, but got hooked when they heard us on Talk is Jericho. And if you haven't listened to that episode yet on Talk is Jericho, go back and listen to it. I think it came out the first week of June. You can just go back in the archives. But they listened to us on Talk is Jericho, absolutely loved us, started listening to the podcast, and then either subscribe to Stardom World or subscribe to the YouTube channel or started getting the pay-per-views or two of the three combination or all three. So that was nice to hear. That was nice to hear because, to be honest with you, since the start of the 5-star about a month and change ago, I've had probably at the top of my head more than 24 of the listeners send me a message either on Twitter or social media and just say, hey, you guys are really hyped up this 5-star Grand Prix. I was only a YouTube subscriber. Now I'm subscribing to Stardom World, or I'm a Stardom World subscriber, and I would wait the few days till after the pay-per-view for it to go on Stardom World, but now I'm buying the pay-per-view. So that does me justice. That does the show justice, and Rob as well. And I did tell him that when I was in Philly for that show, that the mission. I mean, we have a lot of goals with this podcast. Obviously, to have fun, spread positivity, make sure everybody's doing okay. Just bettering yourselves in every which way. Like I always say at the end of the show, we're all in this together. And what I mean by that is life. We're all in life together to be better and just, hey, let's have a good time. But the main mission for this podcast is to get as many new people watching Stardom. Apparently, over the last 6, 7 weeks, we've done a really good job at that because there's a lot of new viewers to Stardom, and they said that they've gotten into it because of our recommendations. So that does my heart justice because you folks are just watching the best wrestling in the world. My opinion, wrestling is subjective. Yes, in my opinion, there's nothing better than Stardom. Pretty much not a lot of everyone that came up to me that told me they were listeners of the show, fans of the show. The two common things was one, the chemistry that Rob and I have, and I miss him this week, and he's working on another project. He's just even when he's not on the podcast, he's working on the podcast. That guy's working so hard, and we thank him for it, and we love him for it. But the chemistry that Rob and I have, and just the positivity. Everyone will say how positive the show is, how fun the show is, and how it brightens up their day, and that means so much to us because we love and we bust our ass putting out content for the show and doing the reviews and make sure everything is tip top the best for you. But the fact that so many people are enjoying the show and just it's putting smiles on people's faces, that means the world to me, folks. That means the world to me, and thank each and every one of you that came up to me and said bye, boy. I did say last week, anybody that comes up to me and says bye, boy, which is the hottest catchphrase in all of wrestling, they will get some stickers and some business cards, and I pretty much ran out, which was a good thing. I came loaded for bear, but there were so many listeners that came at that they took me up on the offer, so that was really good. And again, folks, I can't say thank you enough for just the nice things you say, whether you're in Philly or you're all the way across in Australia or Hawaii or whoever or wherever, and you send us a message. So that's where the great thing of social media comes into play. I know sometimes social media can be a negative, toxic place, but at the same time, if you use it for the right reasons, it can be a beautiful place, just like life, just like life. But again, folks, thank you all so much for all the kind words that you said to me in the city of brotherly love, in one of my favorite buildings, my favorite building to ever wrestle in. Obviously, it looks a lot different now than last time I wrestled in about 7, 8 years ago. But the ECW Arena is a legendary venue. And if you've never been in there before, obviously WrestleMania weekend is coming up in April, first week of April. Oh, and Rob and I have secured our tickets. So yes, we will be going to WrestleMania. But there's a good possibility that they're going to be doing a whole bunch of indie shows. And hopefully they run the ECW Arena. And if you've never been there before and you're coming in for WrestleMania, that giant mural that you see in everybody's pictures where it says ECW 1992 to 2000, 2001, that's actually in the men's bathroom, which is kind of weird because you figured everybody wants their pictures taken in front of it. And there's sometimes the ladies will come in, it's kind of on the other side where the sinks are, not where the actual toilets and the urinals are. But boy, this podcast is off to a running start, huh? But there is, if you are planning on coming into Philadelphia for WrestleMania, definitely plan on visiting the ECW Arena and get your picture taken in front of the mural, which is in the men's bathroom. But I'm sure someone will, okay, come find me. We'll make sure that there's no shenanigans coming on. You got to get your picture taken in front of the ECW spray painted banner. And if you look closely on there, you see like the Sandman signature and like Sabu and RVD. So it's cool. It's on the brick wall again in the bathroom. So yeah, it's a legendary venue. Again, I grew up 2 hours away from Philly. Now I'm a little over an hour, so I'm a little closer. But just growing up in the 90s, and in the 90s I was in high school, so you're in the grunge phase, you're getting a little more rebellious, you're looking for something different other than Hulkamania and stuff like that. And ECW was the trick for me, man. And I've been in that building for ECW shows, a few of them, and I've been so blessed and honored to wrestle in that building for a handful of companies: Ring of Honor, CZW, Chikara, a whole bunch. So yeah, that building has special meaning to me. So anywho, I was only able to see two matches just because I was just so busy just talking to people. And again, if you've heard this show before, you've seen me on social media, all you have to come up to me and say, "Hey, Matt Turner, let's talk about Stardom." I will go on and on and on. So the two matches I watched, of course, the main one, the whole reason why I was there for the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, Giselle Shaw, Deonna Purrazzo, Momo Kogo, and Julia. So I thought this was going to be like co-main event or a little higher up on the card. I think it was like fourth or fifth in. And Momo Kogo was the first one out, and there was a person that was in front of me. Huge Momo Kogo fan, jumping up and down when she came down. Made a ton of noise for her. He had the Momo Kogo towel that you usually see at the Stardom shows. People have the Mina towel and the Tam towel. He had the Momo Kogo towel. He was a huge fan of Momo Kogo, and he's super nice and respected of me because he kind of like got in front of me. But I was like, hey man, I had standing room tickets. I was like, hey, man, I get it, but you don't have to apologize. That's who you're here to see. Absolutely, man. Have fun, have fun. So and then Giselle Shaw came out, Deanna Praza came out, really good pop, and then Julia came out. She had Pyro, which is cool, and huge pop. And again, I've been in that venue for the pops of Shane Douglas, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, RVD, etc., and it was right up there. There was nobody, and I tweeted it out. There was not one person sitting when Julia came out. Everybody was standing, chanting women's wrestling, chanting holy. I'm not going to say because it's a clean show. Holy, you know what? If you've seen ECW shows before, you know what it was. And women's wrestling as well got a big chant, which was good, which was really good. Giselle Shaw, I really haven't seen much of, and she really showed out. Very athletic, very charismatic, very, very good. Now I understand why she was in that match. Momo Kogo was great as always. But anytime Deanna Purrazzo and Julia were in the ring together, that's kind of where the magic really was. And they really didn't have to do much. They just had to have a stare down. You could just feel the anticipation building. As Gorilla Monsoon would say, you can cut the anticipation. Easy for me to say with a knife. So hopefully somewhere down the line, that's where they go with that. I'll get into that in a second. So Julia does get the victory with the Northern Lights bomb over Giselle Shaw. And then Momo Kogo right afterwards comes up to it and starts like throwing forearms. It's like, oh, no rest for the weary or wicked here. So maybe they're setting up somewhere down the line of Momo Kogo versus Julia singles match for the strong belt, and maybe Deanna Purrazzo as well. We know coming up at the pay-per-view Labor Day weekend, I believe it's the 3rd of September, Julia is going to be defending against Risa Sera, which is awesome. Love Risa Sera. It seemed like once Suzuki came over full-time to Stardom that we'd be seeing Risa Sera really not that much. So the fact that we're going to be seeing her again here in just about 2 weeks' time, 2-3 weeks' time, and on a pay-per-view against Julia, it's going to be great. So yeah, Julia has that star power. Everybody in the ECW arena, they love that Julia. There's a clip all over Twitter where she took a picture, like hugged these two younger girls, I want to say 8 or 9 years old. So that was nice. So it's nice to see that Julia is representing all ages, which that's what Stardom does. You see, if you see a Stardom show, you see anybody to, 6 or 7-year-old girls all the way up to 80, 85-year-old men. So that's just one of the many beauty things about Stardom. The other match I did see was the main event, was Alex Shelley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is really good. Tanahashi, obviously, he's getting up there in years. You can see the wear and tear and the sacrifices that he has made, has put on his body, but the guy can still go. He can still go. And thank you, Tanahashi, for all the sacrifices you have made to the professional wrestling business and to us fans. But it was a really cool spot where Tanahashi goes for the high fly flow and he misses. Then Alex Shelley hits the bomb IA, which is Nakamura's big finisher when he was in New Japan. One of the biggest feuds Tanahashi had, especially upcoming, was Nakamura, and he even yelled out the yow, which I don't think he's ever done in WWE. So he hits that to the back of Tanahashi's head, and then he hits the Rainmaker, which obviously is Okada's move. And they go back and forth a little bit, and then eventually Alex Shelley puts him away with the Shell Shock. So I thought that was an excellent match. Afterwards, I was leaving. Deanna Purrazzo was there for a meet and greet, so figured I'd say hello and chat with her. And the first question I asked her was, what was it like to, be in the ring with Julia for her first U.S. experience? And sometimes you can see if a wrestler's going to give you the wrestler answer or if they're going to break it down to the core who they am. I'm fine with them still being in character because they're in front of fans. At the end of the day, we're all fans, right? Doesn't matter if we're in the ring, out of the ring, podcasting, wrestling. I think we're all fans. But so usually when I ask that question, I can kind of tell if you're going to be in character. I got no problem with that. I'm not gonna break it down for that. But you can just see the gleam in her eye, how happy she was, and she said it was absolutely amazing. That you can just feel the aura when she walks into a room or a building or the ring, and just the little stare down they had. I said, you guys got to have that one-on-one match. And then she mentioned that there was kind of like a little promo that they did. So hopefully somewhere down the line, if they were doing a promo for it, it's probably going to happen. Knock on wood. Hopefully somewhere down the line, we see that. I'd like to see a 2-match series. Maybe they do it in Impact and maybe go to a draw, and then they come over, and then Deanna comes over here to Stardom. I would love to see Deanna have another run at Stardom. She had that run in 2018 where she had a shot at Momo Watanabe's Wonder of Stardom Championship. And it was a great match and a very different match in Momo's run. And for you Patreon members, that entire Momo Watanabe Wonder of Stardom run, the review is in there. So, and we do break that down as it's a different match. And again, that was 2018. Pretty sure it was 2018. So it's a different Deonna Purrazzo. She was great then, don't get me wrong, but she's much better now. Fast forward 5 years later. So I like to see that match happen. I'd like to see it happen in Stardom. I like to see it happen more than once, and I would like to see Deonna get a nice little run over here in Stardom. But I don't think Impact will let her go for too long because she's just a big star and a sweetheart of a person. Sweetheart. We had a nice 10, 12-minute conversation. Talked about a couple other things that won't get into just yet. I don't want to, fingers crossed, we're hopefully doing something, down the line. But sweetheart of a person, and had time for everybody to talk to all the fans that were there. So I wish her nothing but the best. And again, hopefully we see her in Japan in a Stardom ring soon. But I would bet good money that we're going to see that one-on-one Julia versus Deonna Purrazzo match. So yeah, that's kind of like my little segment there, folks, for the New Japan Impact show. Again, I kind of just wanted to get right into it right from the start, just because it was fresh in my mind, because it was just as of this recording 3 days ago. So yeah, and it was a pretty packed house, and a lot of the listeners, a lot of the friends and family of the Stardom cast, we all kind of chatted saying, Stardom runs a U.S. show in the States, especially WrestleMania weekend, and they do it in that building, it guaranteed it'll sell out. And I totally agreed. Totally agreed. They ran one 5 years ago, back in 2000. Excuse me, about 4 years ago. I think it was 2019. They ran WrestleMania 29 weekend. They ran it in New York. I obviously wasn't there because at that time I wasn't watching Stardom. So I think they drew pretty well. So I'd love to see them come back and do one or two Stardom shows in the U.S., especially WrestleMania weekend. Philly, hot Philly crowd, smart Philly crowd, passionate Philly crowd, ECW arena, cheesesteaks and Yinglings, baby, and Stardom. How much better does it get? How much better does it get? But again, thanks to everybody that came up to me and said just nothing but positive things about the show. Again, we really appreciate it. Just really shows how far the show has come, and obviously we have a lot more to do. We have a lot more to do, folks. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. What is up on the Patreon this past week? Alternate commentary. Myself and one Rob Goodwin, we released Saya Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship against Utami Hayashishita from night one of World Climax. Also, for alternate commentary coming up next week will be the Generation Struggle 8-person tag match from Cork and Hall from about 2 months ago. That pitted Saya Kamatani teaming with Utami Hayashishita, Suzu Suzuki, and Maika to take on the team of Tam Nakano, Shuri, Julia, and Mayu Iwatani. So that will be on your Patreon feeds next week. Also, the homework is finished, and it was massive amount of homework, and I'm so excited to record it. I will be recording it this weekend. Saya Kamatani, all 17 matches of her legendary Wonder of Stardom run. I will be recording that this weekend. Sometimes I record after work where I have a little bit of time. I know that baby's going to take me over 2 hours. So that'll be in your Patreon feeds by the end of the month. Actually, the bribe Sean, I'm taking Sean out to dinner, our editor, taking out to dinner tonight because I had to let him know, hey, buddy, the next Patreon episode that comes out, that one's going to be a banger. Rob does a lot of the editing of the podcast, but those bi-weekly ones, that's all on my man Sean, and he's the one too. He edits the music in at the beginning as well. So yeah, I got to bribe him with some dinner and maybe a few brewskis tonight. Let him know it's the one coming up in the on the drive. It's gonna be a banger. So the only thing left that I have to do, again, I have everything written down. I went back and watched all these matches, and I had a blast. I watched all those matches live as they happened, except for maybe one, I think, like the Unagi match. I think I had something going on where I couldn't wake up at 3. But it was so great watching those matches and watching them in sequence, and that's what I love about doing these championship runs, or whether they're 5-star runs or Cinderella runs. You get to understand the psychology and the selling and where they're getting better at certain things. And so the last thing I have to do is, I figure the episode's going to be well over 2 hours. So what I'm going to do is at the very end, I'm just going to rank them 1 through, again, I think it's 17. I've only had the tablet in my hands 3 hours every day for how long. So yeah, and if you're ever thinking about subscribing to the Patreon, that one's on. Oh, it's only a $3 tier, folks. That one's only the $3 tier, and you will get my review and breakdown of the greatest Wonder of Stardom Championship run of all time, Saya Kamatani, the Golden Phoenix. And, Saya Kamatani, obviously, she's got a bum arm, and we hope to see her back in the Stardom ring soon because, boy, I tell you what, she is special. She is a special talent, boy, let me tell you. So, the news. There really wasn't too much news. Usually that's kind of Rob's thing, and I didn't have too much time to prep for the news, but really the main big news coming out of Stardom from this week is the rumors that the Fighting Princess, the foreign ace herself, the former one half of the Goddess of Stardom champions, Mariah May, heading on over to AEW. So again, it's nothing signed in stone. It's just rumors, but it's been, I think it was Fightful and maybe The Observer. Could be wrong. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. Matt Turner quotes Dave Meltzer, says it's a done deal. No, don't quote me. That should be heading over to AEW. We mentioned again when we were on Chris Jericho's podcast that certain wrestlers would be perfect fits over in one of the big two in America. And we said Mariah May is someone that is who I didn't know anything of when she debuted in Stardom earlier this year. And fast forward, 7-8 months later, it's like she's so good. She's gotten. I mean, everyone was telling me coming in she was pretty good, but she's gotten so much better, and that just goes to show you how hard she's working in the Stardom dojo and how hard. And she took pictures in front of Billy Robinson's chair at the Snake Pit Dojo in Japan. And again, those of you who are new to the podcast, again, welcome. But I do some training in catch wrestling over at Snake Pit USA, which is in New Jersey, about 2 hours away from me. And Billy Robinson is like one of the best modern day coaches of catch wrestling. Now, Billy passed away a handful of years ago, but his teachings have been passed down to some of the people that have taught me. By no means am I an expert, but I've spent a lot of time practicing and training in seminars and camps and whatnot with Catch Can Wrestling. And so the name Billy Robinson really strings at my heartstrings. The fact that Mariah May is in the Snake Pit and she's sitting next to the chair Billy Robinson was using to teach people like Kimura, people like Sakuraba. I mean, that's huge. That's huge, and it's just goes to show you how hard she's working over there in Japan. So again, basically, kind of what Rob and I both told Chris and his listeners was she's somebody that a Tony Khan, a Vince McMahon, a Triple H would easily pick up on. No, I mean, let's call it like we see it. As soon as she's drop dead gorgeous, so that's something that you're going to want on your TV. But the fact that she can cut a promo, she can sell, she can do anything and everything, not only in the ring, but curtain to curtain. And that's somebody that Tony Khan's going to want on his TV. That as soon as she goes through the curtain, whether it's on a WWE show or an AEW show, people are like, oh, she's a star. She's a star. And as gorgeous as she is in person, she's even better in the ring. I mean, she's a phenomenal in-ring performer and great tag wrestler with Mina. So we don't know how much longer we're going to have Mariah May. Maybe the interests are there and they have been there. Maybe she wants to stay in Japan, 6, 8, 10, 12 months, who knows. But love what she's doing with Mina Shirakawa. And, who knows? Maybe Mariah May will be on your TV and maybe on a Monday night, maybe on a Friday night, Saturday night, Wednesday night. But it's wrestling all nights of the week, isn't it? Boy, we are so blessed. We are so blessed. So more news on that as we get it. But yeah, I would not be shocked by the end of the year or early next year we see Mariah May in an AEW or WWE ring. I'd rather see her in the AEW ring just because I think that she would fit in maybe better with some of the roster. But you know what? I'm kind of flipping my mouth there. She'll fit in anywhere because she's so talented. She's just so talented and a really good promo. And that was another funny thing. A lot of when the rumors were coming out all over social media that she may be headed to AEW, a lot of people were like, well, can she cut an English promo? It's like, she speaks English. I thought that was great. It just goes to show you how sometimes people jump the gun. Like, clearly you've never seen this person before. You're only looking at the picture. Don't judge a book by its cover. Even though the cover's nice, again, Mariah May, absolutely fantastic and stellar in the ring. But I guess that'll do it for that, folks. Let's get into these 3 show reviews, shall we? You'll be hearing me turning pages as I keep 2 notebooks with me at all times. One for the shows, and then I have a specific one that is geared towards just the 5-star Grand Prix. So that's how I keep everything up to date. Okay, folks, I got the attendance numbers. Again, shout out my man Darren Chatton, who helped me out, hooked me up literally last minute with the attendance numbers. So we will go to Korakuen Hall. What a show this was. The most loaded Korakuen Hall show, or the most attended professional wrestling Cork and Hall show this year. 1,519 people. This show took place on the 15th of August. The opening match saw the Stars team of Hana, Saida, Koguma defeat the Queen's Quest team of Hina, Lady C, and Miyu Hamasaki, where Saida pins Hina with the Ida Buster. 7 minutes 23 seconds. This crowd was hot from the moment the bell rang, and they stayed hot all the way up to the main event with the Zumi Utami. Folks, we are huge fans of Saida on this podcast. She doesn't get as many wins as we'd like. She's been getting some more W's though. So in this match, you have Koguma, right? Former high-speed challenger, former one half of the Goddess of Stardom tag champs with Suzuki. Then you have Hanan, arguably the greatest future Stardom champion, and somebody that clearly they're grooming to be the future of the company, and the future looks bright because she's fantastic. And Hanan is in the 5-star, which is obviously running. So they could have put Koguma over, they could have put Hanan over. No, they put Saida over, which is awesome. And again, we'll get into Saida getting crazy over in that New Blood 10 show in just a little bit. But good solid opener with, again, Ida getting the win with the Ida Buster, 3.25 stars. Match number 2 saw the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi defeat the God's Eye team of Wonder of Stardom champion Mirai and high-speed champion Saki Kashima when I had that the other way around. Mirai and Saki Kashima, the two champions, defeat Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi when Mirai taps out Yuna Mizumori via the Scorpion Deathlock. 4 minutes, 51 seconds. I thought this match should have gotten a little more time. Natsupoi is on an absolute tear. Yuna Mizumori is one of the most improved wrestlers in all of wrestling. Saki Kashima is always great in her role, no matter what they give her. And Mirai is Mirai. She's one of the best, best in the world, and she's holding the Wonder of Stardom championship for a reason. But the fact that they only got a little under 5 minutes, I guess I get it because you have all those 5-star matches, which at the end of the show, which got a decent amount of time. But I don't think it would have hurt anybody if they gave this match another minute or two. Regardless, again, 3.25 stars. Everybody worked hard. It would be nice to see maybe they run this one back when Yuna is an official member of Cosmic Angels, which I still think is going to happen. Maybe with a little more time. But, it was good for what it was. We move on to match number 3 and the last non-tournament match is Suzu Suzuki, Megan Bayne, Nanai Takahashi, and Mei Seira defeating the, what a makeshift team that is. Suzu, Megan Bayne, Nanai, and Mei. They defeat the Uedo team of Starlight Kid, Fukin Death, Natsuko Tora, and Ruaka. 9 minutes, 38 seconds, where Megan Bayne pins Ruaka after an F5. 3.5 stars. This match went a shade under 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 38 seconds. Again, the crowd was super, super hot for that match. And everybody got over. Everybody in the show got over. Everybody played their role really well, did what they needed to do. But really good job kind of building Megan Bayne up. And I've had a lot of our listeners ask me, what's going to happen with Megan Bayne now? It just seems like they built her up just to feed her to Tam. And at Stardom X Stardom, which we covered last week, which was a great show and such a match that over-delivered. What a great title match from Tam. I think they're just going to build Megan Bayne back up again. Give her some more wins in this tag stuff, kind of see where it goes, and maybe, have her do her tour, maybe run out to the end of the year, maybe build her up until Dream Queendom, and then maybe have like a Hazuki beater or a Saida beater. I wouldn't have her lose again. Have her keep getting the W's in these tag matches, and then maybe bring her back maybe sometime in the spring next year or summer next year. I think I've looked at her, Xena, Jessie, who are all Zaya Brookside. Can't forget about her. Zaya Brookside's great. I would love to see them come back from time to time. Do a couple tours, have them go tour the world, and then come back. I think that'd be good. It freshens up the rosters. It freshens up the matchups. Not only that, but Club Venus really needs some members, especially if Mariah May is on her, if she's leaving. That just comes down to Waka and Mina. So it'd be nice to see Zaya come in for maybe 6 weeks. Nice to see Jessie come in for maybe 4 weeks, so on and so forth. So I think that's what we can do with Megan Bayne. Again, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what they should do. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think the plans are for Megan Bayne going forward? Again, I think they just build her up over the next few months, and then at Dream Queendom, have somebody beat her. So again, it means something like how Tam did. Okay, let's get into the main crux of this show. Match number 4 on this show. And we're going to go into the 5-star matches in more detail because to me, these 3 Stardom shows are really, really good. But the 5-star matches, in my opinion, are really kind of the meat and bones of this episode and really these 3 Stardom shows. So we're kind of just gonna breeze through everything a little bit, but we're gonna go deep into these 5-star matches. So the next match saw Momo Watanabe move up to 6 points when she gets her victory over Sori Anu when Momo hits the Tequila Sunrise that scored her 2 count, and she follows up with the Rolling Peach Sunrise in 9 minutes 22 seconds. So Momo jumps Sori Anu in the aisleway, throws Sori Anu in the front row while Sori Anu still has her robe on, which is kind of that's something too, because you're taking bumps and you're moving and you're trying to not trip your feet up while you have Momo Watanabe, who's notorious for being violent, especially in Cork and Hall. So it's like I was kind of worried, if I'm sure everybody saw night 1 where Sori Anu got the top of her head busted open. Now I'm like, I hope she doesn't blow a knee out, because Momo was just beating the crap out of her and tossing her into the second and third row while she still has her robe on. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Momo hits a snap suplex onto the floor, and then all of a Wedo tie pretty much blind the ref. You're going to cheat, make sure you don't do it in front of the ref. It hits this huge, loud bat shot. These bat shots in the Cork and Hall shows, I don't know what they're putting in it. I don't want to know. Don't tell me the magic trick. But boy, it seems like, not Cork, excuse me, these 5 stars, it's like they must have got a louder bat or something. Or what it could be really, and kudos to Stardom, is the camera work and the mic work lately. The last handful of shows have been better. The camera work, the cameras, they seem way clearer. I think they're like 4K, and even the sound sounds so much better. I think maybe that's why the crowds are coming in better. And double thumbs up to the fine folks over at Stardom World for getting these shows up in like 24 hours. Absolutely amazing. As much as I like to have live shows, I can only get up at 2 or 3 o'clock so many times, folks. So many times. So sometimes it is nice waiting the one day, and then when it comes up, I'm like, I actually have time for that. So Stardom really upping their production quality, and that's awesome. And again, to the folks over there running Stardom World, I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you for getting these shows up within 24 hours, because when we see these matchups happening, they're like they have to be bangers, and they all are, and we're salivating. Again, I know we have a lot of listeners that don't subscribe to Stardom World, that only watch the YouTube shows. I understand that, folks. It's like $8. It's like $8 a month. It's a little over $2 a week. And not only do you get these 5-star matches, you can watch last year's 5-star. You can watch Io from 2016, 17, 18. You can watch Mayu from her run in 2019, 2020. I can go on and on. Anywho, Momo opens up with some kicks. Sori Anu and Momo Watanabe exchange some stiff chops. Momo attempts a mid-kick, but Sori Anu counters with a beautiful dragon screw leg whip, and then locks Momo Watanabe in the figure 8 submission. So it's the figure 4, but of course Sori Anu's got a bridge. That's her thing, and very reminiscent to Charlotte Flair's figure 8 submission. Sorry, Anu stays on Momo's knee. Momo hits the Tree of Woe dropkick. Momo follows up with a Samato, the Meteor, for a 2 count. Forearm trade-off turns into a kick trade-off. Sori gets a Hurricanrana for a 2 count. Momo hits a mid-kick, and then Momo rolls through a backslide attempt and hits her vicious punk kick. Momo and Sori trade suplex attempts back and forth. The ref gets blinded. Momo goes for a bat shot, but that gets a failed bat shot. With Sori Sori ducks the bat shot, hits a pair of German suplexes that scores the Cosmic Angel member a 2 count. She goes for the Tempest, the flipping neckbreaker. Momo counters that with a head kick. That was beautiful. The head kick goes right into the Inhumane driver for a 2 count. Great falls. The crowd is so hot for this. Momo goes for the Peach Thunder, but Sori Anu escapes with a Hurricanrana pin attempt for a 2 count. Momo then comes back, hits the Tequila Sunrise and the Rolling Peach Sunrise. So 2 in a row, really 3 head ups in a row for the 3 count. 9 minutes, 22 seconds, 4.5 stars. This match was fantastic. All these 5-star matches have been excellent, but the one in KBS Hall and these ones are like, holy geez, I'm only paying $8 for this. Don't up the subscription price though, folks, over at Stardom World. But tell you what, it's worth triple the price. It really is. Again, if you're not subscribing to Stardom World and you're listening to the podcast, what are you doing? Go subscribe to Stardom World. Match number 5 of this show saw the Cosmic Angels, the Club Venus team members wrestling each other. So Rose Gold, Mina Shirakawa coming in with 6 points, taking on Mariah May coming in with 2 points. Sees Mariah May doubling her points. 2 + 2 = 4, as she shocks Mina Shirakawa a lot of people in Cork and Hall, and me as well, as she hits the happily ever after at 11 minutes and 47 seconds to get the win over Mina Shirakawa. Match starts with a chop and forearm exchange. Mariah May opens up with some chops. Mina tries early on to go to the knee, but Mariah May, she knows her partner's tricks. So I thought it was really cool how she kept trying to get to the knee, but Mariah May's like, no, no, no. I've seen this on the apron before. This is what you do. This is your stick. But Mariah May, God bless her, she sticks to the game plan, which I really like that psychology. It's like, eventually I'm going to get it. It's like Mike Tyson. You know he's going to throw that uppercut. And he may miss 6 or 7 times, but he knows he's eventually going to find a way to get it. And once he does, that's reason to get the advantage. So eventually, Mina sticks with her game plan. Again, I love that psychology. And Mina Shirakawa just does that so perfectly. Her psychology's so good. So good and so basic, so simple. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Not the band. Rock and roll all night. Anywho, Mina peppers Mariah May with some kicks, locks in the figure 4. Mariah hits a big boot to slow Mina's pace down. Mariah hits the big double jump drop kick for 2 count. Mariah tries for the top rope handstand, but Mina counters and goes right back to Mariah May's knee. Again, really good psychology, how it would ebb and flow. She would go to the strikes, Mariah May would come back, and then Mina would just start taking out Mariah's knee. Mariah May, she hit this really cool spot where Mariah is on the rope selling, and she has Mariah May's leg up like in a figure 4, but she's standing, and she does a dragon screw out of it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She has to be on the ropes because she's got nothing to balance on. So that was cool. I've never seen like Tanahashi or Fujinami do that. I thought that was really, really cool and really creative. Yeah, and Mariah May selling of the knee here was spot on, spot on. Mina locks back at the figure 4. They exchange slaps. At this point, this is where the crowd's at its hottest. Mina hits the back fist implant DDT combination for 2. She tries for the glamorous driver Mina, but Mariah May escapes. She hits a beautiful release German suplex. It's another part of Mariah May's game that's really improving is those throws, those suplexes, backdrop drivers, stuff like that. You can tell she's really working on her core throws. May hits a cartwheel apron powerbomb. Mina gets in right at 19. Great tease of a count out. You figured if someone told me that Mariah May is going to get the win over Mina, I figured that's probably going to be a count out, right? That would kind of make the most sense to keep the former champion strong. So, and I thought that would have been it here. I thought that would have been here. Really great tease. May hits the Angel's Wings for 2 count. We get a slap exchange. Mariah May shows really good fighting spirit here. I thought that was another one of her really good attributes in this match. Mariah May hits the TKO for 2 count, and then she follows up with the happily ever after tombstone for the 3 count to get the win over her tag partner and the leader of Club Venus. 4 1/4 stars, folks. And considering the fact that Mina Shirakawa defeated Mirai, the Wonder of Stardom champion, and I have a feeling that's going to lead to a Wonder of Stardom championship match, probably in the winter. Maybe that's where Mina gets her run. Mariah May, maybe before she goes, if she goes, she can say, "Hey Mina, I beat you in the 5-star. I deserve a title shot." And maybe they do the rematch. Look how better Mariah May has gotten in the last 6 months. Just think another 3 or 4 months with her and Mina. 21 minutes for the Wonder of Stardom Championship sometime at the end of this year, beginning of next year. Yes, please. Yes, please. Again, 4 1/4 stars. Excellent job, Mariah May. Again, fighting spirit, selling. And they go hand in hand, folks. They go hand in hand. That's where she shined here. Match number 6 of this show, the match that I was looking forward to the most. And when you look at this card, you didn't know it was going to main event. You know, the fact that we had these 5 matches, but these 3 matches back to back to back. Oh boy, we're so spoiled to be Stardom fans, are we not? Sashiri defeating Hazuki, who just can't get a 5-star win, losing her first 3 this year, lost I think her last 3 or 4 last year. Poor Hazuki, again, show favorite of everyone. But Shiri goes up to 5 points when she submits Hazuki with the White Dragon, the White Dragon, the White Tiger stretch muffler. Can't even read my own handwriting. It actually looks halfway good here. Good chain wrestling to start. Hazuki tries for boot scrapes, but Shiri makes her pay with some really brutal kicks. But Hazuki, she's not playing around either. I mean, she hits back with some super stiff kicks, super stiff forearms. As Hazuki's desperate here, really get her first 2 points. And again, she's going up against the winner of this tournament in 2021 and the former World of Stardom champion. Hazuki hits a full Nelson slam and a senton combination. She goes back to the boot scrapes face wash combination, which she does perfect. She's able to get it. And Hazuki does a great job getting the crowd involved with the clapping. The crowd's already hot. They're hot for the whole show. They want to see this match. Hazuki's over, Sherry's over, but Hazuki does that little extra just to make sure that they're trying to blow the roof off Cork and Hall. And then they have 2 matches to follow afterwards. I thought that was great. Sherry hits a front headlock suplex and then locks in the White Tiger submission. She goes for an apron punk kick. Looks like she slipped off the apron, but she takes a nasty bump here. Hazuki gets out of the way. Hazuki follows up with her beautiful suicide dive, and then she throws Sherry back in the ring. She hits a springboard dropkick and a front suplex into a lung blower. New move. I've never seen Hazuki do that before. So she had his Sherry up for like suplex, but instead of dropping her back, she dropped her forward, and on the way down, Hazuki hit the double knees into Sherry's chest like a lung blower. Again, I've never seen that done before. If she has, and she has a cool name, let me know, guys. I thought that was really cool. Hazuki then locks in the crossface. Smart. You went to Sherry's lungs. You're trying to take out her air. Crossface, the way Hazuki locks it, it goes over the nose and the mouth, really to interrupt the breathing. So really good psychology there. Crowd's really behind Hazuki here. They love Sherry, but I just want to see poor Hazuki get a win. God bless her. Hazuki's the best. Hazuki hits a draping lung blower, follows up with a top rope senton for a 2 count. Sherry escapes the brainbuster and hits a German suplex and follows up with a brutal head kick. Hazuki hits a huge pump kick, and then Sherry comes back and they trade kicks. Sherry hits a head kick and a running knee. At that point, Hazuki gets up and goes in full Hazuki mode. And what we mean by that, folks, is full Hazuki mode is when Hazuki grabs you by the back of the neck and throws about 84 forearms, and then you collapse. And even when you're collapsed and when you're collapsing, Hazuki's still throwing those forearms. So that's what we call full Hazuki mode or Hazuki mania here on the Stardom cast. Sherry comes back, hits the jumping knee for a 2 count, goes back into the White Tiger. Hazuki rolls through and locks in the Hazuki straw for 2.9 that everybody bid on the finish. Sherry comes up with another kick and the Rouen for a 2 count back into the White Tiger stretch muffler. And this is great because when we've seen Sherry win so many matches with this version of the stretch muffler. And usually people tap right away. But like Hazuki was hanging on, and the crowd psychology when she tapped was genius here because she wasn't tapping right away. She was waiting to get the crowd at the right point. And she's holding on. You can see the pain in Hazuki's face, but yet the fight at the same time, which is just brilliant that Hazuki in that one moment is in the ring and you can see pain, you can see desperation, but yet you can see fight and heart in that submission. And then you just see Sherry just lock in more on the knee and on the Achilles. And when she locked that in a little bit deeper, that's where Hazuki tapped. I thought that was brilliant. I had this match at 4.5 stars, but I actually gave it another quarter star because of just on the submission. The way they cranked it, the way they sold it, the way they bumped up the crowd. It was at a fever pitch this whole match anyway. I actually gave it 4 3/4 stars, and this was actually my favorite match of this night, which I know it could be a toss-up in these 5 matches. Again, 11 minutes, 39 seconds. Sherry getting the win, moving up to 5 points. We move on to the co-main event. If you would have asked me, I would have said this was going to be the main event, even though I had a good idea what the result was going to be. You have Mayu Iwatani, the former World of Stardom champion, the current IWGP Women's Champion, or Joshi Champion, as they announce her, taking on the former Wonder of Stardom Champion and the current World of Stardom Champion. See how I caught that? And Tam Nakano, both coming in with 4 points. They go to the 15-minute time limit draw, so now they're both at 5 points. Which now asks the question, if they tie, what do? Do they have another match? Like, if they're tied at the top of the block, there's no tiebreaker because they had a time limit draw. I wonder if they'll ever address that. That'd be something. If you know the history between these two, Tam was part of a Wedo tie. Wedo tie lost a gauntlet match against Queen's Quest, where a losing member had to leave, very much like the cage match they had with Queen's Quest. Tam was the loser. She gets recruited from Mayu. Mayu basically puts her under her wing. Mayu, Saki Kashima, and Tam were all the Artists of Stardom champions. Well, they were the Artists of Stardom champions together, and of course, both of them turned on them. Tam eventually recruits Mina and Unagi as Cosmic Angels, as they're a branch of stars. Eventually, Tam's like, no, I'm good on my own. And they've never had the blow off before. Every time that they've wrestled since then has been to a draw. And even on a show, I think it was Osaka Super Wars. If Rob was here, he would tell me. But when Tam was the Wonder of Stardom champion, they wrestled to a 30-minute drought, which was an excellent match. So crowd coming off a hot match. They can't wait for this one. They're super hot for this one. Super hot for this one, as you have two of the biggest stars in Stardom in Cork and Hall, and you have the New Japan Women's Champion and the current Red Belt Champion in the 5-star. This isn't even the main event. So just from the stare down, and Mayu and Tam do such a great job of working the crowd on the stare down. Just from the stare down, the crowd is hot, fever pitch. But eventually they do wrestle, folks. They do wrestle because that's what they're here for. The name on the marquee says wrestling. Mayu works over Tam's arm with a wrist lock. Mayu starts to kick away at Tam. Mayu hits the corner evasion drop kick. Mayu goes for the dive, but Tam cuts her off. And Tam hits a neck breaker onto the apron. Tam tries for a top rope dive herself. Mayu cuts her off. They strike exchange on the top of the turnbuckle. Mayu tries for a top rope Rana to the floor. She must have been watching those Sai Kamatani versus Tam matches. However, Tam stops Mayu, locking in a knee bar, having Mayu just dangling there on the top rope, looking at the first 3 rows of Corrigan Hall. Folks, I'm afraid of heights. That would have been really, really scary. Eventually, Tam lets go of the knee bar. Mayu takes this terrible spill, of course, to the apron, then to the floor. Tam hits the top rope dive. Hey, you're already there, right? When in Rome or when in Corrigan. Tam hits a pump knee and a back suplex for a 2 count when they get back in the ring. Mayu hits the crucifix bomb for a 2 count. And then Mayu locks in modified Dragon Sleeper that we've seen her win a handful of matches before. Eventually, she turns that into the Dragon Suplex, or German Suplex. I like that. I like how she had the Dragon Sleeper in, realized she wasn't going to put Tam away, and then she just transitions it into a German Suplex for a 2 count. Mayu hits a basement drop kick. She goes to the top rope for a double stomp, but misses. Tam comes back with a German Suplex. Mayu and Tam trade German suplexes back and forth. Tam hits 3 in a row that eventually get her a 2 count. Tam hits a spin kick into the Tiger Suplex, which we saw her beat Megan Vane with last week, so a lot of people thought that would have been the finish. Mayu escapes the violent screwdriver, counters it with a Dragon Suplex for a 2 count. Tam hits a spin kick. Mayu hits a super kick. They trade back and forth. Mayu hits a 1-leg corner drop kick that sends Tam to the floor. Mayu hits her insane and one of the best suicide dives ever in wrestling onto Tam. Mayu pitches Tam back in the ring. It's the Joshi style drop kick. Shout out Shane Hagedorn for coining that like 15 years ago, which is the flat back drop kick. Mayu then follows up the drop kick with the frog splash for a 2 count. She goes for a super kick, but Tam catches the super kick, and then she leg kicks Mayu. That sets up for the violent screwdriver for a 2 count, and then Tam cinches in the Twilight Dream, but when she hits it, the time expires. 15-minute time limit draw, 4.5 stars. And I like when they do these time limit draws where they shows that somebody's on top, meaning Tam hit her 2 moves back to back. The violent screwdriver, the Twilight Dream, and Mayu didn't kick out. It's just the time expired. So if this had an extra 2 or 3 seconds, would have Tam been the victor? Again, like a very good comic book or a very good book, you want to leave with more questions than answers. And that's what you did, because that'll get you to buy the next book or go see the next movie or buy the next comic book. I'm a big comic book fan. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to see how this ends or how it wraps up. They're obviously going to run this back sometime, hopefully with no time limit, on a bigger show. And it's going to draw a lot of money. A lot of money. I wouldn't be, even though Cork and Hall, they do 1,500 people. They max out, round up, let's say 1,600 people. And I think they did this at a bigger venue like Ryogoken or let's run Budokan Hall back. Hey, why not? Or Yokohama Budokan, they could probably get closer to 3,000. But at the same time, 1,600 people, if they were to run this one back with that crowd that hot, I wouldn't say no to it. But I think when they run this one back, it's going to be for one of their titles. And it's going to do massive amount of business. Massive amount of business, as Mayu just has such great chemistry with everybody. We go to the main event of the show, which I would have not have pegged would have been the main event. I figured it would have been Sherry versus Suzuki or Mayu versus Tam. However, that last match I gave 4.5 stars. Not sure if I said that. However, we have Queen's Quest members Utami Hayashishita taking on Azumi. Utami coming with 4 points, has not eaten a defeat yet. Azumi's been eating some losses that we didn't think we'd see her eat. I think a lot of us had us pegged that she was going to beat Mirai, set up a future Wonder of Stardom Championship match. That didn't happen. And then I said last week, and a lot of people agree with me, in what I deemed as Hana's greatest match ever, that Hana got the surprise win over Azumi. So Azumi really needs a win here, and she did get the win with the Canadian Destroyer, or the Tokyo Destroyer, into the Azumi Sushi for 10 minutes and 20 seconds. I really like how this match started. And like I talked about Billy Robinson before. And I'm sure when they were putting this match together, they didn't have this Billy Robinson credo or psychology when they were putting this match together. But there's an old saying that you open one door purposely for the other person to go through it. Then you open up that door purposely for them to go through it, and that third door you slam shut. And it seemed like Azumi, the bell rings, she goes for her Karana, but she wanted Utami to get out. And then when Utami got out, it set her up for the C4 bomb, but she wanted Utami to get out because it set her up for the Canadian Destroyer or the Tokyo Destroyer. Let's call it the Azumi Destroyer or the Sushi Destroyer, maybe. We'll come up with a fun name for it. So it seemed like she set her up. She opened up the two doors and slammed the third one shut, and that third door was the Destroyer. I really liked how that match started as Azumi's off to a fast pace. That sends Utami to the floor. Azumi then tries for the double foot stomp to the floor, but Utami saves her life by moving. And then we see really Azumi when she comes down on that foot, she tries to get up, but she puts all the pressure on it and goes down. And I knew that how long this match went because I saw I had it spoiled to me, which was fine. So I knew Azumi didn't get hurt because it would have been all over social media, but she was sounding like she was hurt. She did a great job selling. Maybe she was hurt and she shook it off, but like she came up from that double foot stomp. You're doing double foot stomp to the concrete. Tough enough when you're coming off the top rope and doing it in the ring. And the ring, it's got a little bit of give and a little bit of spring, whatever. But that floor, not only in Cork and Hall, but any building in the world doesn't have any give. So Azumi, like it going for the double foot stomp, missing. Then she comes up, she's really selling the foot and the ankle where it's just like, oh no. We already have, you don't ever want to see anybody injured. We already have her stablemate, Sai Kamatani, injured. We don't want to have another QQ member go down in this middle of this tournament. Great job selling the foot. Back in the ring they go. Utami brings the lariats and the forearms. Azumi hits a beautiful head kick. I think I say it about twice a month on the show. Azumi strikes very underrated, especially her kicks. Azumi hits a head kick that leads into a armbar attempt. And then she tries to lock in the numero uno. Azumi hits the rope Rana and then hits a double foot stomp. That one was a little more safe. At that point, I knew Azumi was okay because there's no way that you do another double foot stomp if your foot's injured. So Azumi locks in the armbar, but Utami deadweight squats her up for a slam. Azumi comes back with a La Mystica into the armbar. She transitions that into the numero uno. Utami gets to the ropes. Azumi stays on the arm. She hits that running pump kick to Utami's arm. Clearly, the psychology is try to go after Utami's neck. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go for the arm. Utami catches Azumi into a wheelbarrow German suplex. Crowd really hot here because she's kind of getting routed here. And they're kind of pulling for Utami and Azumi as well. Utami eventually we have a forearm trade-off that has Azumi basically baiting Utami into a big forearm that she ducks, hits the C4 bomb. Utami rolls through Azumi Sushi, hits a forearm, and then back to the Azumi Sushi again for two. Azumi then hits a head kick, and then Azumi goes for a head kick, but very much like Utami's matches with Shuri, Utami catches the kick and just plants Azumi into the middle of the mat with his brutal power bomb. Azumi tries for the Destroyer, but Utami pops her up and hits his brutal forearm. That was really cool, just to pop a forearm and on the way down just crushes Azumi's soul. Then she follows up the Torture Rack bomb for two. Utami goes to put away her QQ member with a hijack bomb, but Azumi, this was an awesome finishing stretch. Azumi escapes the hijack bomb. Basically, it's a double jump off the second rope into a Destroyer, then hits another Destroyer into the Azumi Sushi for a 3 count, 10 minutes, 20 seconds, 4.5 stars. This match was great. Absolutely love that finishing sequence where Azumi's trying for the Destroyer again. Utami just pops her up and just drills her, just like crushes the life out of Azumi with the forearm. And then she starts to chain her big moves back to back to back. But Azumi, knowing Utami so well, she gets out of the torture, or excuse me, the BT bomb. And when she does, she's right by the rope, so she just springs off the second, does a 180, catches Utami into a Destroyer. That was really cool. And then just hit the regular Destroyer into the Azumi Sushi. We've seen Azumi use that combination on a lot of the bigger wrestlers, especially last year. I'm almost positive she used that combination of the Destroyer into the Zumi Sushi to defeat Micah and Himika in the 5-star last year. My memory is correct. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But usually with Stardom stuff, I do okay. Okay, folks. What a must-see show. Again, if you are not on Stardom World, it's like a free commercial here, but rightfully so. If you are not on Stardom World, that show itself was worth like $40-50. Unbelievable. Again, the undercard was good, but really where it shined was those last 5 matches. Again, if you're just going to jump on Stardom World just to watch that match, you're paying like a little over $1 a match on those last 5 matches, and they're well worth it. Well worth it, especially Hazuki Shuri, the Mayu and Tam, and then Utami and Azumi. So Azumi, who eating some L's here, not only gets the win over QQ, the QQ leader, and in the main event of Cork and Hall, the biggest attended Cork and Hall wrestling show of the year, and gets to cut the promo. So hopefully that builds up some momentum for the High Speed Bomb Girl. She did say that her anniversary of wrestling is right around the time of the final night of the 5-star, and I believe her birthday, because the final night of the 5-star is September 30th, and her birthday, I believe, is October 1st. I only remember that because my daughter's birthday is the next day. So, nice little birthday present for her if she can win her block. And I believe my wife does have her and Hazuki in the finals. So, if that helps my wife's bracket out, we're going to have to do some rallying. And for those of you who are paying attention to the stats between me and my wife in the 5-star, she only had 1 right that show. I had 3 right, so I'm rallying. She's been kicking my butt this whole entire 5-star. We are now tied at 14-14. For those longtime listeners of the show, remember last year I absolutely routed her. I think I beat her by like 10, 11 points. So finally catching up. So, okay, folks, we will go into New Blood 10, which took place in front of 361 people on the 18th of August. I'm kind of just going to run through some of these matches here. We had the opening match of Hanako and Hanako and Kazuna Tanaka. I'm going to butcher some of these names, even though there's been some people coaching me, some fantastic people over in Japan coaching me on how to pronounce the name. So I am getting better, folks. I am getting better. They defeated the team of Moran, Nanami, and Amisori when Moran tapped out to Hanako's torture rack. 7 minutes, 28 seconds, 3.25 stars. First of all, Kazuna, if I'm saying that right, Tanaka. I know that's Minoru Tanaka's daughter. When I first broke into wrestling around 20 years ago, Minoru Tanaka is one of the juniors I watched the most and absolutely loved him. He also wrestled under the gimmick Heat. He had a mask on. So the fact that is a second-generation wrestler, she looked really good in the brief stuff she had on in the match. Her exchanges, were good in the match. She looked very impressive. Hopefully we'll see her on some more New Blood shows. Obviously, she's got a great coach in her dad and Minoru Tanaka. I'm sure you can pick up the phone to Yuji Nagata or Jushin Liger and help out, call Uncle Liger, help out the young Tanaka there. But love seeing second-generation wrestlers go in, especially when you have a dad and daughter, or you have a mother and a son. It's cool to kind of see a little different dynamic there. Moran at only 14, 15 years old. I mean, geez, what can we say? Her ring presence, or her likability, the way she pops a crowd, just fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. I'd love to see her, maybe her and Rena for a future Stardom match, maybe somewhere down the line. That'd be great. Match number 2 saw, again, I'm going to butcher this name and I apologize, Chanako defeating Lady C via the European clutch, 7 minutes, 47 seconds. Really thought we would see a Lady C win here because I never heard of Chanako. Again, I apologize. I know I'm butchering the name before. Obviously, she has a presence. She seems like a veteran. The crowd knew who she was. She knew what she was doing in the ring. Her timing, her pacing, everything was great. She was very smooth, and I was like, ooh, I need to see more of her. And that's something that I'm probably going to do this weekend after I record that Mammoth Side Kamatani episode for you fantastic Patreon members. But she was excellent here. But really good seeing Lady C in some of these singles matches because they do a great job in these multi-person matches, fleshing her out and giving her a good majority of the match. But yeah, really enjoyed this match. I had this one at 3.25 stars. Match number 3 of this show. The number 1 contenders, the next contenders for the Goddess tag belts, Suzuki and Mei Seira defeating the sisters team of Hina and Hannah when we saw Mei Seira pinning Hina with, it was like a hammerlock into a Liger bomb at 7 minutes 24 seconds. I had it at 3.5 stars. This was a solid match. Hina and Hannah, the sisters, they work very well together. We'll talk about on the pay-per-view the trio of Hina, Rena, and Hannah, the real bloodline as I call them, how well they work together. I would love to see Hina and Hannah. I know they're one's in Stars, one's in Queen's Quest, but it's wrestling, folks. I would love to see them get a run somewhere, maybe for the Goss Stardom tag belts. Obviously, Hana and Saida, that's kind of my go-to team in Stars with Wing Gory, but Hana and May Sarah had some really good high-speed spots here, so we all think that May is going to be the next heir apparent to the high speed championship after Saki has her run. Saki Kashima has her run. Hana, not sure what they're going to do with her after the 5-star tournament and then after the Goddess tournament. I wouldn't mind seeing Hana and May Sarah in a prominent match for the high speed championship. Maybe that's something they can put Hana in the high speed division, and while they're kind of grooming her for, the bigger and better things, the white belt, red belt. But she just turned 19, so she got her whole world in wrestling life in front of her. But I would not say no to a Hana high speed run, because that was something that I know that I wanted. And all of a sudden, it's like, you can definitely hang in that division, because she was really good there. And again, the master of the high speed division, in my opinion, the greatest high speed wrestler champion of all time, Izumi. She had that great match with her last week that we talked about. Match number 4 saw Natsupoi defeat Yuna Mizumori in a match that if Yuna wins, she gets to join Cosmic Angels when Natsupoi hits the fairy ring into a fairy strain combination at 9 minutes 27 seconds. This was an excellent match as Yuna really came to bring it. We talked about it on the show last week. Now, this was just a normal match if you're going to be Natsupoi, right? She's undefeated in the 5-star. Her and Sorinu, they are the Goddess Stardom tag champions. They're doing a great job pushing her. Natsupoi is all over the world. Bipo is the hottest thing in wrestling, folks. It's the hottest thing in wrestling. Bipo, it's made the cover of Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine, where it just showed like everybody beating each other up and Natsupoi kind of on the side doing the Bipo. So, hey, great job on Weekly Pro Wrestling, taking advantage of the hottest thing going in wrestling. So, but considering the fact that Yuna Mizumori has been working so hard, she's so improved, so likable, I figured, they're going to give Yuna a win here. Boy, how much this would mean so much to Yuna, and a lot to her character, is you're building Natsupoi up, and Yuna gets the win. She gets the upset win. That's how she joins Cosmic Angels, is beating a red hot Natsupoi. But that didn't happen here. They did a great job going back and forth. Yuna just crushes Natsupoi with lariats. You get the capture lariat, like the Kabashi burning lariat, where you pick your opponent up, grab them by the back of the head or the neck, and just hit the lariat. I love that. It just reminds me of some of those brutal Kabashi Misawa matches and Kabashi Steve Williams matches. Natsupoi escaped the Hawaiian Smasher, hits a super kick German suplex combination, and then Yuna Mizumori shows her fighting spirit. Rebounds with a huge lariat, again, but Natsupoi pours it on towards the end, hitting the Furial Ring neck breaker that Yuna Mizumori kicks out at 2, and then the fairy strain for 3 count. Afterwards, Natsupoi goes up to Tam, and you see Tam has a smile on her face. I thought, oh, they're going to let her join. But no, Tam says, you will get another shot at joining Cosmic Angels, but you have to beat me at New Blood 11. So what I'm assuming will probably be the main event, Tam, who more than likely will still be the World of Stardom champion, taking on Yuna Mizumori. And if Yuna wins, she gets to join Cosmic Angels. So either Yuna pulls the upset off. Again, I just mentioned how big it would be for her in her career if she joins Cosmic Angels by beating Natsupoi. It'd be even bigger if she beats Tam, the leader of Cosmic Angels, especially if she's the red belt champion. Or maybe they go to a time limit draw, or maybe Tam beats her with like 2 seconds left, and then Tam lets her join. I think that'd be that might be the best way to go. Like Tam beats her, or it goes to a time limit draw, and Tam's like, okay, I'm gonna let you join, because you look at how great of a leader DDM Julie is, and how great of a leader Mayu is at Stars, and Tora. Even though Tora organized the beatdown on Saki Kashima, that's Oedo Tai, that's their thing. Tora's really just came off since she's been back from the knee injury, especially these last 2-3 months, as a great leader of Oedo Tai, and of course Utami. The sacrifices she's made in the cage match, and then to come over to America and come back just to help Queen's Quest, her faction out. There's some really great leaders of factions where Tam's kind of been slipping a little bit, kind of maybe the bully row role. Easy for me to say, folks. I've been talking for over an hour, so I would tag Robin. Tam, pretty much like bullying Yuna Mizumori a little bit in the whole weight loss thing. It's something that I don't care for. We talked about in the show, and I'm not going to get into it because I think Tam Nakano is absolutely fantastic. But I think that'd be great for her character and as a leader is if Yuna doesn't get a win here, again, either goes to a time limit draw or Tam beats her. Tam's like, okay, I saw your fight. I saw your heart. You're in. I think that would be so great for that to happen. And I think would make Tam so much a better leader of Cosmic Angels and put her on the level of a Mayu, of a Utami, so on and so forth. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Tam's going to beat her, but Tam's still going to let her join. I just don't think there's a way that with all this going on that Yuna gets kicked out of Cosmic Angels. Not unless she goes to DDM, and again, the Julia thing comes rearing right back. That's a possibility, but Stardom has so much cool stuff going on that there's really no wrong answer. Match number 5, Sori Anu defeating Miyu Amasaki, where she hits the Temps Tender. I hope I'm saying that right. At 11 minutes 25 seconds, Miyu Kevin Amasaki. That's a joke for one person, folks. The same person that's been coaching me on the syllables and how to say things right. Asked, "Can you by chance call Miyu Kevin?" So there you go, folks. I know that's kind of the kind of thing. I think Azumi and Miyu had a Instagram conversation. I think Azumi brought it up and Miyu kind of laughed it off. So Miyu Kevin Hamasaki. So maybe that'll be a permanent fixture in this podcast. This was great. This is my favorite match of the show, believe it or not. These last 3 matches were really good, really enjoyable, but I really, really enjoy this. Miyu's, we've talked about this. I've talked about this on the show. I'm sorry, I know we have new listeners all the time, but I talked about this on the show last 5 or 6 weeks of Miyu, how much she's improving. And these New Blood shows are perfect for her because you're giving her opponent a really great wrestler in Saori Anu, one half of the Goddess Stardom Tag Champs, and you're giving her over 11 minutes to tell their story. And Saori, obviously, she's leading the match. She's the veteran, but she's giving Miyu enough in the match. Miyu has this new move. She has a lot new, some new submissions, and she has like this double jump X Factor as well. So she's adding more to her game. Her forearms are starting to look a little better. Remember about a year ago, I said probably couldn't break an egg with those forearms. Forms are looking better. The way she's doing the DDTs are better. The handspring elbow looks great. I thought she was fantastic here, and Saori Anu was the perfect opponent here. I thought how Miyu countering the Temps Tender into the knee bar roll up for a 2 count that had everybody biting for the finish, even me as well. Saori hits the German suplex and then follows up with the. For some reason I thought it was called the Porter Ring, but that's the what I call the backslide from heaven. That's her backslide with the Temps Tender, pinning her at 11 minutes 25 seconds. Again, 4 stars. Miyu Amasaki's been having great matches with Nanai, Azumi, and now another one. Another great singles match. So again, folks, you have a loaded roster in Stardom. You look at the wrestlers coming up: Saida, Hana, Hina, Rina, and throw Miyu Amasaki in that mix. I just can't wait to see what she's going to do over the next year or 2. And I would not be shocked if Miyu has a nice little run in the Cinderella tournament. And if they expand the field a little bit more in the 5-star, I'd love to see Miyu in next year's 5-star. Absolutely love it. I think it would be a perfect fit for her in it. Again, fast forward, look what she's done in the last 2 or 3 months. What's going to happen in the next year? Then you put her in her 5-star where she's wrestling a Tam, a Julia, a Utami, a Azumi. She's only going to come out of that gold. Match number 6, Passion Injection match. Saida and Nanai Takahashi. So Nanai Takahashi getting the victory with the Nanai Rocker, which is basically a modified version of the Falcon Arrow. This one got some time, folks. 15 minutes, 21 seconds. 3 3/4 stars for me. This is very hard hitting. And me being a huge fan of Saida, hashtag push Saida. This is great how hot the crowd was for Saida. They were so into everything she did. Her selling, the comeback, the chops going back and forth. Super hot for her. Nanai just had to just pour on one thing after another. She couldn't keep Saida down. Eventually, it was the backdrop driver, sliding lariat, and then another lariat, and then the Falcon Arrow, Nanai Rocker for the 3 count. But boy, Saida was throwing those forearms. She was throwing those clotheslines. Again, showed so much fighting spirit in this one. Again, a really, really good, solid match. And Nanai said, let's run it back again. And no one's has been able to beat Nanai on these passion injection matches. We thought Starlight Kid would be the one to do it at the last New Blood show. She wasn't. Maybe Nanai gets her first L in these type of matches with a rematch with Saida. I think that would do so much more for Saida than it would Nanai. Main event match did see Rina tapping out Waka to retain the Future of Stardom Championship with a hydrangea. 12 minutes, 35 seconds, 3.5 stars. A good, solid match. Love seeing Rina using that submission. Hana Kimura's submission basically passed down to her. We did see, again, this was really good. They had a little high speed in the beginning. We know both wrestlers can do that style. Waka does a great job building up a lot of false finishes, close finishes, flash finishes, but eventually Rina does a great job building up the hydrangea. She used it early on in the match, then in the middle part, and then goes back to it to get Waka to tap. Really good way to end a really solid show. Also, folks, if you are new to this show, once again, welcome. I think it's the third time I said that. New segment on the show, which I'm going to do now. Io Shirai is the current, known as Io Sky, the current WWE Women's Champion. And Io Shirai, obviously her fingerprints are all over the world of Stardom, in my opinion. Not only the greatest Stardom wrestler of all time, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Her two World of Stardom Championship runs are absolutely legendary. The V10, the V14, two of the best championship runs, not only in Stardom, but in all of Japanese wrestling. So what we're doing is we are going to be covering what Io did in WWE this week. Huge rumors of Kyrie coming into WWE towards the end of the year in the fall. So if that does happen, if those rumors are true, we're going to be doing the segment of what Io and Kyrie did this week. So Io, I'm going to call her Io Shirai. Hope you folks don't mind. Io Shirai teamed up with her Damage Control tag member Bayley to take on the team of Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. Seemed like Bianca has lost a lot of steam since she lost the championship to Asuka, but she did a great job getting it back here because the crowd, they were hot for all four of these wrestlers, but they were all into Bianca. Really good tag stuff back and forth with Io and Bayley. They really had really good tag team chemistry. Eventually, Bianca Belair is able to, or they got heat on Charlotte Flair. Bianca comes in. She hits the handstand moonsault onto Bayley. Io misses a moonsault onto Charlotte, but she lands on her feet. Io hits the Showtime palm strike that sends Charlotte Flair into the turnbuckle. Io comes in for a shoulder tackle. Io hits the post. Bayley tags herself in. As soon as Bayley comes in, Charlotte hits the big boot, and Bianca Belair hits the KOD for a 3 count. I had this match at 3.5 stars. So again, folks, it's just a little segment that we're going to be doing. What Io did. There might be some times where this segment is 30 seconds long because maybe Io did not maybe she didn't do anything, or maybe she just had a promo. So I think just something nice to kind of keep one of the daughters of Stardom kind of still in the Stardom realm is we'll talk about it on the podcast for a little bit, but it's nice that Io Shirai, our queen, the founder of Queen's Quest, is at top of the WWE wrestling world. Okay, folks, before we get into a little bit of preview for the 5-star matches coming this weekend, we will end it on the fantastic pay-per-view that exceeded all expectations. Stardom Midsummer Festival 2023 took place on the 19th of August in front of 1,653 people. And this was basically, it was kind of like a Legends reunion show. And I figured it'd be good, maybe very good. My expectations were, it's Stardom, there's no way it could be bad. Like the undercard will be nice and solid, but they had so much put on with, Jaguar Yokota and the Anoa'i sisters and Shinobi Kandori. So it's like, you wonder how they're going to be because a lot of these wrestlers primed back in the 90s. So it's, but you're mixing them in with the Stardom wrestlers. They're not one-on-one. They're not singles matches. The smoke and mirrors, it should be okay, but this completely blew away my expectations. I'll run through the undercard and we'll get into the kind of main few matches in a little more detail. Match number 1 had the sisters, Hina, Rina, and Hana, the real bloodline, in my opinion, defeating the makeshift team of Lady C, Waka, and Yuna, where Hana reverses the Waka slide into the 17 roll-up. I had this at 3.25 stars. Match number 2, we had the former tag champs here. Rose Gold, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May defeating the, again, makeshift team of Tekla and Megan Bayne. This is a really cool finish. Tekla She does the bridge to go for the toxic spider, but when she does, Mariah May sneaks behind her. She tries to, or she deadlifts her. She goes for the tombstone, the happily ever after. But Tekla rolls her up, but then Mariah May rolls her back. I thought that was really cool how Mariah May countered Tekla's big move. Tekla countered Mariah May's big move into a roll up, but then Mariah May countered Tekla's move. I thought that was a really, really cool way to get into the finish. I had that 3.25 stars. Match number 3 had shown was Suzu Suzuki and Maika defeating Saya Iida and Ami Sourei. This was excellent. When this one came up, I kind of forgot what the matches were because I've just been so busy with, again, doing a lot of stuff with the Sai Kamatani and the Sai Kamatani part of the Patreon and just updating things on the 5-star. And when this match came up, I was like, oh man, there's no way this is gonna be awesome. This was hard hitting. It's exactly what you thought it would be. The match ends. Saya Iida is just crushing Maika with these lariats. Like she's getting the better of the lariat advantage. And then Maika hits the 360 lariat and then just picks her up and hits her with the Michinoku driver. And it kind of ended out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, it was really good. I wish it would have had 2 or 3 more minutes maybe to build towards the finish. But it makes sense. It's like Maika's getting rocked with these lariats. She's able to hit her big 360 lariat. That usually leads to the Michinoku driver. So it's like, I got a window. Let me put the finish. Let me get out of here because I'm getting my ass kicked by the gorilla here. But I thought it was really good, really hard-hitting match. Saya Iida and Ami Sourei with the double chops at the same time were really good. Had it 3 3/4 stars. Again, this was excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And then how about Suzu and Maika on their way up to the rampway? They're like exchanging chops. So they have like that love-hate relationship, which I think is funny. Again, excellent match. Suzu just is she's this role that she has, whether she's teaming with May or whether she's teaming with Maika or she's doing this phenomenal singles matches in the 5-star. She just can't miss. And what a great pickup for Stardom. What a great pickup for Stardom. Match number 4 saw the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani and Koguma defeating Shiri and Saki from God's Eye when Mayu locks Saki in a Modified Dragon Sleeper, gets her to tap out for the win. Again, Modified Dragon Sleeper that we've seen Mayu use a few times in the 5-star. Solid match. The fact that we got to see Mayu and Shuri in the ring, that's always a plus. I had it at 3.5 stars. And then we go on to match number 5. So this is where we get into like these legends. Okay, so you have the team of Zap, Dump Matsumoto, Tora, and Ruwaka defeating, I guess, Queen's Quest plus Kyoko Inoue, Utami, Izumi, Miyu, Kyoko Inoue. When Tora hits the Mist to Miyu and then hits the Death Valley bomb onto Miyu Kevin, 3.5 stars. This match starts off, of course, crazy. Uedo Tai jump, and then we just have this crazy brawl. Yu Amasaki, Kevin. Miyu is the MVP of this match. She was so good. Her selling. Dump Matsumoto has this cane. She just keeps beating poor Miyu. She's in the 3rd row, and Miyu's just trying to get up to get back in the ring. She's just getting hit with this poor cane. And I don't know if it's selling or the fact this thing really hurt because you can hear the smack, or it was 50-50, but she was just, and then her comeback and everything in the match was really good. Dump Matsumoto, again, I don't mind cheating in wrestling as long as it's not in front of the referee. And Uedo Tai is great at pulling the ref out. Kagetsu is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in wrestling of cheating in front of the referee, not in front of the referee, but pulling the ref out at the last second, but yet pulling the ref back in for the finish. She's great at it, and the Uedo Tai does it very, very well. Dump Matsumoto, anytime any member of Queen's Quest was going for a pinfall, she would just come in and just whack them with the stick right in front of the referee. And it got to a point where it's just so comical. I'm like, I can't even get mad about it. And the poor referee was just like, you felt so bad for him because he's trying to get the stick away from Dump Matsumoto and just couldn't do it. And then like she's threatening him. And then it's like, you went like Azumi. It's just like, I love Azumi, but like Azumi had like next to nothing to do in this match. At the same time, what's she going to do with Zap Dump Matsumoto? Like it was just, I wish she had a little bit more to do, but it just really was. Kyoko looked great. I know she's still competing. She was great here. Again, I thought Miyu was the MVP. Her selling, her comeback, I thought did a great job kind of building the match around her, only to then beat her in the end by cheating. Tora with the mist, and of course her getting hit with about 84 cane shots. Again, it was really, really fun. Excellent match. And anytime Utami is in the ring with Natsuko, I'm all for it. But I thought that Matsumoto here was, again, obviously beat up from the Wrestling Wars past her prime, but I thought for what she was able to do, absolutely genius. Maximize her minutes. 3.5 stars. We go to the co-main event. Cosmic Angels Trio, Super Cosmic Angels, Natsupoi, Tam Nakano, Soryu defeating the team of Shinobu Kandori, Takaka Inoue, and Hazuki. This was great. This was excellent. Obviously, Kandori, she had that amazing match with Akira Hokuto at Dream Slam at Yokohama Arena back, I think, in the early '90s. It's one of the greatest women's matches of all time. Well, I think it finished very high in one of the best matches of the decade. Kandori works a very shoot style, which I'm a huge fan of. And boy, she brought it here. She really did. They did a great job with her and Tam throwing down, and then her putting Tam, the World of Stardom champion, in an armbar, and then kind of letting it go. Like, this is just too easy. Like, you're supposed to be the champion here. This is too easy. Eventually, they ramp things up. Hazuki obviously is great here. Kandori and Noe, they can only do so much, right? So Hazuki does majority of the legwork here, which is you figured was going to happen. Of course, you want to get Hazuki. She's a big star in Stardom. You kind of want to get her involved a little bit more, especially her just beating down Natsupoi. I'm just like, I cannot wait for the Hazuki Natsupoi match from the 5-star coming up. I think in a few weeks. They had 2 matches almost within like 2 weeks of each other last year during the 5-star. Their 5-star match. They had FWC defended the Gotham tag belts, Hazuki and Koguma against Tam and Natsupoi. I think it was 10, 12 days within each other, and Hazuki just beats down poor Natsupoi, and Natsupoi just eats it and brings it back, and that's what she does here. And I'm like, I can't. That match was so good last year, just an underrated match, and last year's 5-star. Hazuki's better, Natsupoi's better, and you got a preview in this match of what that match could be, and or probably what it will be. So I cannot wait for that. Again, Hazuki was great here. Soryu was terrific as well. The way that she was kind of able to bring everything, the way that she teamed with Tam and Natsupoi. Obviously, Natsupoi's former tag champ with Tam, current tag champ with Soryu No. And so they all work well together. The Cosmic Angels entrance, along with these three, is just like star power. I thought the finish was great with Kandori accidentally palm striking Hazuki, leading to the fairy magic roll up from Natsupoi onto Hazuki for the 3 count. Afterwards, then I had this at 4 stars. This was great. Afterwards, Tam told Kandori, like, hey, let's have a match, maybe for the red belt. So now you have that. I'm like, I will absolutely take that. I thought they did a great job with Kandori in this match. I thought she looked great. Obviously, she doesn't work in Azumi, Starlight Kid, Natsupoi crazy style. You know, you're not going to see her doing moonsaults even back in the 90s. So it's like, I think these two are going to trade blows for like 8 or 9 minutes, maybe tease the armbar for a minute or two, and then Tam's probably going to hit a zillion violent shootings and then probably drop Kandori on her head to get the win. That's probably how that match is going to go. And if that's the way it's going to go, take my money. Who do I give my money to? Because that's if that's where they're going to go. Yeah, I'm all for it. You know, Rob and I talked on the show last week. But this is a one-off. We're fine with it. But if they're going to bring Kandori in to do this match, and not only this match, but our fine friends over at Monthly Pro Wrestle, they made mention, boy, what about a Kandori versus Shuri match? They had a match in Sendai Girls, I think in 2012, they said. That'd be something, Shuri versus Kandori. I was like, that would be great. But I don't know if they realize, if Stardom realized they did this. You set up Kandori versus Hazuki. Kandori hits the palm strike onto Hazuki that basically causes the opening for Poi to get the fairy magic. So maybe we see a 3-match series with Kandori versus Tam, Shuri, and Hazuki. And those are all matches that she can lose. You know, it'll put Tam over, put her in a bigger light, beating a legend, Shuri as well, and Hazuki. She can go 0-3 and no one's gonna care. If anything, she might get booked more. Whether it's the Sendai Girls or Tokyo Joshi Pro or back in Stardom. You know, who knows? But boy, I'm excited. If you would have told me that this is going to lead to a red belt match before, I would have been like, oh, really? That's what they're doing? But for the way it was built, absolute genius. Absolute genius. Speaking of genius, the main event saw the team of Nanae Takahashi, Jaguar Yokota, one of Rob's all-time favorite wrestlers, and Momo Nakanishi defeating the team of Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid when we basically saw the T gimmick from, I'll say that because of the Backseat Boys and CZW, from Momo Watanabe and Nanae Takahashi on the Starlight Kid. I didn't know Momo and Nanae were a tag team. Momo and Nanae, or Nanae Momo, whatever they were called. But they did show they did a great job, and Stardom's been doing a great job with this. They did a great job showing the video of their past. I was like, oh man, they were great as a tag team. They were fantastic. You know what's coming up in a few months, folks? The Goddess Stardom Tag League. How great would it be if Nanai and Momo were a tag team in that tournament? Obviously, Nanai and you won it last year. I would love to see Nanai and Momo. Momo make another run. She was fantastic here. Probably the MVP of this match. Momo and Starlight Kid, they start out hot, and then you and Nanai, they have a chop fest. So you have the two high-speed wrestlers doing what they do. And then you have you and Nanai. Again, I mentioned they won the Goddess tournament last year, former Goddess Stardom Tag Champs. Momo, then he tags out to Momo and Jaguar Yokota and Momo Watanabe. Really opens up kicks on Jaguar Yokota. I think Jaguar was 62, 63. It's the same age as my mom's birthday's next week. That's my mom's going to be 62. So it's like, she's as old as my mom. My mom's been retired for 3 years. Jaguar Yokota is still kicking ass. So good for her. She looked great here as well. I didn't get a chance to really talk to Rob about what he thought of this match again because he's a huge Jaguar Yokota fan. But I texted him after I watched the show. I said, you're going to be surprised, bro. At the undercard, you knew it was going to be solid. Especially that Suzu Micah versus Ami Asaya match. I said, wait till you get to these last two matches. I said, holy jeez. He's like, does it set up anything and is it good? I said, oh yeah, it sure does. It sure does. It sets up. There's so much more Stardom can do. And they already have the most loaded roster in the world. So yeah, a lot of really good stuff here. We saw some Momo on Momo violence. All they needed was Momo Kogo on commentary. Obviously, she was in the States because the next day was the ECW Arena show. Really good false finishes, as you would see Black Desire, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid come in, and they would do teamwork on Nanai Takahashi. You would see some close pins there. And Momo must not have forgotten Budokan Hall in March of 2021 at All Star Dream Cinderella, because Nanai beat her on that day. Nanai came back basically, and beats Momo. And it was a really stiff match, but Momo had some receipts. She had some receipts from a show of over 2 years ago. And but there was some head kicks that broke up pinfalls and to set something up that Momo just was not pulling back. And I would love to see the two of them run that back again. Hopefully with Momo getting a win. Eventually, we would see just some crazy suplexes. The Momo latch that Momo Nakanishi taught the Starlight Kid teased quite a bit for the finish that we did see Momo and Nanai do at the last New Blood. So I thought that's where they would go. I know where this was going. I'm like, that's the finish, that's the finish, that's the finish, which is the brilliance of it. But eventually we saw some teamwork from Momo and Nanai put away Starlight Kid, 4.25 stars. Again, this whole show was solid. These legend matches, again, with Dump Matsumoto just scaring the heck out of the ref and beating up poor Miyu Kevin Amasaki. And then these last two matches were just so good. So good. The fact that we're going to get a Kandori and Tam match, maybe a Kandori versus Shiri match, and again, maybe Kandori versus Suzuki. That's something I would love to see. And then just how great Nanai and Momo Nakanishi was. And even, again, Jaguar Yokota at 62 years old. I think that's what she was, or is. How great she was here. And Momo and Starlight Kid are great. And Yu was really good here. She wasn't in that match that much, but because a lot of it was focused on Momo and Starlight Kid. I think there's a reason why it was. I think Momo is going to get another run here. And I would love to see her and Nanai team up for the Goddess of Stardom tag. Can you imagine, like, them versus Aphrodite or O2 Line or Meltier or Sayori and Natsupoi, depending on which way they go, or versus Hana and Saida. I mean, it's just possibilities are endless. That Goddess of Stardom tournament can be just as good as this year's 5-star, folks. There's a possibility that it could be Mina and Mariah May. There's all depends on which way they shake it. This Goddess of Stardom tournament, we can really be in for some. It could be the best one yet. It really could be for the best one yet, folks. I didn't think I would go this long. Before we wrap this baby up, let's talk about the upcoming. As I'm trying to get my notes here, upcoming matches this weekend in the 5-star tournament, and I will just kind of go through my prediction as well. I'm not going to go through all the cards, just the matches coming up over the next week. Red Stars block World of Stardom champion Tam Nakano up against Natsuko Tora. That's going to be a tough one because are you going to beat your World of Stardom champion against somebody who I think is going to be there at the end? I think Tam's going to win. Would not be shocked if I get that wrong. Match that can absolutely steal a whole entire week. Momo Watanabe, who's absolutely crushing it absolutely crushing. Again, we've seen a lot of sprinkles of Momo from 2018 and 2019, where she was one of the best wrestlers in the world, sprinkled in with this new heel persona that she's doing in this tournament. I mean, the match she had with Micah and Soria New has just been nothing but top notch. Going up against Mariah May, who clearly is going to every match with something to prove. That's going to be fantastic, but I'm predicting another Momo win. Starlight Kid versus Ami Soria, that'll be really good. Ami Soria is fantastic, very underrated. Starlight Kid needs a win. I think she'll get pick up points here. Hana versus Sayori Anu. Uh, what Sori did with her match with Miyu was took somebody kind of underneath her and brought her up. Hana's not too far away from Sayori, in my opinion, as far as talent level. They're both fantastic. That match is another one that can absolutely steal it as well, but I see a win for Sayori. Boy, how cool would it be if Hana gets the win and then her and Saida challenge Poi and Sayori Anu. Anao. Yeah, that'd be great. Natsuko Tora has another match versus Natsupoi. Tora needs a win, and Poi is going to start eating some L's. I'm a little bit more confident on that one. I see Tora getting the win there. And then these last two matches, last two big matches, you have the current Wonder of Stardom champion and the winner of the last two Cinderella tournaments against the winner of the Cinderella tournament 2020, former World of Stardom champion and the winner of this 5-star last year, Julia versus Mirai. Very well, they can go to a time limit draw, but they've been doing a lot of the time limit draws lately. I think Julia gets the win over Mirai, but that's another tough one to call. And then probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. Not that I'm not looking forward to any of those other ones, because those are going to be good. Utami versus Micah. They always seem to have bangers, especially in the 5-star, but it always seems that Micah has Utami's number in the 5-star. It's a match I could probably get wrong, and there's a good possibility I will, because I'm doing terrible on predictions. But I'm loving these matches. I'm going to say Utami gets the win over Micah, maybe breaking that little streak she has against Micah in the 5-star. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for bearing with me on this solo journey. Hope you appreciate all the content that we've been bringing to you. Questions, comments, anything you would like to see coming up on the Patreon, or anything that you would think you'd like for us to change, let me know. We're all here to get better in any way that anybody can make myself or Rob better. Let us know. We're always open to suggestions. You just want to talk about wrestling, Stardom, NFL season's coming up, college football season starting. Let me know. Let me know what fall beers you're drinking. Whatever you want to talk about, folks, you let me know. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter or the X or whatever it's called. I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can also shoot me an email as well. The StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. Folks, if you're not done so, please go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It is free. We're trying to pump up the subscriptions there as we're trying to add some more content, some more videos, and some more interviews. Our interview with former Ring of Honor owner Kerry Silken, that went up about 2 weeks ago. You can see the full video there, and boy howdy, that was an absolute hoot. Kerry holds nothing back and is honest and very informative, and just a great guy. One of the nicest people I've ever been around in the wrestling business. So if you have not done so, go check that out and give us a subscribe. If you have not done yet, folks, please go over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review if we deserve it. It really helps get this podcast out. Like I said at the beginning of the show, helps get out the word of Stardom, because that's the main goal, is to get as many people to watch, in my opinion, the best wrestling in the world. That is Stardom, and it's going to put a smile on people's faces, folks. I think if people watch Stardom, they're going to enjoy it, and we're here to put smiles on people's faces. That's going to wrap it up for this episode, folks. Like, again, questions, comments, you know how to get a hold of me. Like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special. And don't forget, bye, boy.